Hello friends, welcome back to the homestead. My name is Constance and today I'm bringing you into the kitchen for a fermenting video. My dear friend Anna over at Fermented Homestead has organized Fermented February once again. And I'm not a huge fermenter. I have very little experience with it, but I have found that every time I've tried it, it's always been so much easier than I thought it would be. And when it came to fermenting things, one of the things that my husband, who I endearingly call Mr. Smith, has said that he wanted me to make is kimchi. He loves that Korean fermented cabbage. I think he first had it when he was stationed over in Korea a long time ago. But he loves the stuff. But now, while I'm not a huge fan of spicy things, he is. And so today I thought, you know what? My life is a little bit chaotic here. The house looks like it's exploded because we're in the middle of moving. But fermenting is really easy and it only takes a little bit of hands-on time, and the rest is just hands off, let it do its thing. And so I figured, you know what? I can do this fermenting even though I'm in the middle of moving. So let me gather up my few starter ingredients and we'll get started. All right, so now this recipe actually calls for making a brine and soaking the cabbage for a few hours. So I have a head of Napa cabbage here, and I have removed a couple of the outer leaves, and I'm just gonna put these back into the plastic that I brought my cabbage home in from the store. Wrap them up, stick these back in the fridge for later. So now I'm gonna take this great big head of Napa cabbage and I'm gonna start cutting it into very thin slices. And as I run out of space on my cutting board, I'm just going to take the cabbage that I've already cut and put it in my big mixing bowl that I have over here. Get that out of the way and we'll just kind of continue as we go. Alright, I think that'll be good for today. So now the recipe that I'm doing today is actually a bit of a combination of a few different recipes. I just kind of pulled different elements from different ones and tried to figure out exactly how I wanted to do this. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cabbage and I'm going to sprinkle in 1/4 cup of sea salt. And I'm just going to take my hands and I'm going to work all of this sea salt into the cabbage, the shredded cabbage. So while I'm mixing this together, I just want to share a little bit more about this collaboration that we're doing. I had a piece of a leaf here, let me tear that up. So this collaboration goes on all through the month of February, and like I said, it has been organized by my friend Anna over at Fermented Homestead, and this year it's actually being partially sponsored by Haas Tools. And Haas Tools is a gardening, farming supply company based out of Georgia. It's a company that I'm quite familiar with. Those of you who are familiar with my channel may remember where I had grown some beautiful, deep, dark sunflowers. Those are the chocolate cherry sunflowers that I absolutely love. And Haas Tools is actually where I got the seeds for those sunflowers. I have ordered things from Haas Tools many times over the years, and I'm sure there will be future orders as well. Everything I've ever gotten from them has done great. The seeds have all germinated wonderfully, and they ship really fast. And I don't know if it's just because I'm currently in Alabama and I'm pretty close, but all I know is every time I've ordered from them, I've got everything right away. So I'm really excited that the wonderful Haas Tools people have decided to join in, and Anna will be sharing more about the giveaways that will be taking place over on her channel. So make sure you not only watch her video where she shares all about this collaboration, but throughout the month you're going to want to make sure that you watch and comment on all the other Fermented February videos, because I'm pretty sure that's how you enter into the giveaway. Alright, so now as I've been kind of working this cabbage, you might be able to see that it's actually already begun shrinking in size. It's sort of beginning to release some of the liquid that's in the cabbage, and that's going to basically add to the brine that will be created. Now, when I'm making sauerkraut, I'll do this as well, and I don't actually have to add any liquid because there's so much juice that comes out of that cabbage. However, this is a Napa cabbage. It's a little bit thinner. It doesn't seem to release quite as much juice as the traditional green or the purple cabbage does. I've made sauerkraut with both. So we definitely need to add a little bit of liquid to this. So I'm going to go ahead and get some cold water, and of course anytime you're fermenting you don't want to use chlorinated water. So if you are on city water or something like that, you would want to either have your water purified in some way. I have a filter in my kitchen that removes chlorine and everything else. If you don't have something like that, one of the ways you can dechlorinate your water is to let it sit in an open container exposed to the air. Usually overnight does the trick, but you could fill up a pitcher or a big bowl and just let it sit out overnight, and then all of that chlorine is going to dissipate and give you water that is safe to use when it comes to fermenting. And that's a good tip also for doing sourdough, because of course sourdough is a type of fermentation. You don't want chlorine because chlorine, the whole job of that is to kill bacteria, and when you're fermenting you want to feed and create an environment for the good bacteria to grow. That is good. We're going to go ahead and add in some of our dechlorinated water, and then we're going to let this sit. Alright, we're going to add in just enough water to just barely cover this cabbage. Just going to push that down in there. We are just about there. Going to need a little bit more. Alright, that should do it. And then to weigh down this cabbage in the brine, I'm just simply going to take another bowl that's the same size as the one that I'm using, and I'm going to set it on top. And let's see. And I'm just going to set a jar that's got some water in it to make it a little bit heavy on top. And then I'll push that down in there. And I'm just kind of peeking. I can see the water completely covering the cabbage down in there. So now I'm just going to let this sit for a few hours. The different recipes that I was looking at said that you could do it for a couple of hours. You could do it as long as overnight. I'm just going to leave it here for a few hours since it's already mid-afternoon here. In the meantime, if you are brand new here to the channel, my husband and I are empty nesters, and we are currently in northern Alabama. Just bought a homestead in the mountains of Arkansas and are in the process of moving. Here on the channel, I do about 3 videos every single week on homesteading, home cooking, and back to basics, and occasional devotionals. Over on my website, cosmopolitancornbread.com, you can find over 800 recipes and tons of articles to browse through and enjoy. So I'm just going to let this sit and get back to packing some boxes, and I'll join you guys back here in the kitchen in a little while. Friends, so I've been working on the next part of the kimchi. I julienned a couple of carrots along with some radishes, and these are just the traditional red radishes that you get at the grocery store. Most recipes for kimchi call for daikon radishes, although it is usually listed as optional. I just decided to go ahead and use a few of the regular radishes in this. And then I peeled about 6 cloves of garlic. I chopped up an inch piece of some fresh ginger, and I peeled and cored a small apple. So now I have my brined cabbage right here, and I'm just going to pour it through a colander here into my other bowl because I still want the brine, but we want to give the cabbage just a quick rinse. And of course, anytime you're doing this, you want to make sure that all of your utensils, your bowls, your hands are very, very clean. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to make the paste. Ordinarily, you would do this with a food processor. My food processor is in Arkansas, so I'm using my little Ninja smoothie blender. It should work just fine. I'm going to, let me quickly cut these apple pieces a little bit smaller. I'll give these garlic cloves a quick chop as well. All right. I'm just going to put all of these into a blender. Whew, that's about strong already. Next, I'm going to add in some red pepper flakes. Now, most kimchi recipes call for some specific red peppers. but in talking to a friend of mine who's very good at this whole fermenting thing, she said that cayenne types of peppers work as a great substitution. So I'm using 2 tablespoons of red pepper flakes. And then I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of fish sauce. Alright, see, I'm done with my cutting boards. Let me move that out of the way. Now I'm just going to pulse this and mix these together, and hopefully they'll make sort of a pasty substance, because again, this is just my beverage smoothie blender as opposed to a good food processor. Oh, maybe probably have to give it a few shakes along the way. All right, I think that'll work great. Looks like a paste. So now I'm going to don some gloves here, because we're going to be handling all of these ingredients, including the red pepper paste that I just made. Okay, so in my bowl here, I have the green onions that I cut into pieces, along with the julienned carrots and the radishes. So I'm going to add in my cabbage that has been draining. I'm just going to kind of mix these together, kind of give them a little bit of a head start. Okay. Now I'm going to add in my paste. I'll be very careful opening that, because I don't want anything to kind of fly out. Alright. So now we're just going to mix these together until that pepper paste is all mixed in. Woo, that is strong smelling. Man, smell that garlic and ginger and pepper. Okay, I think that looks good. Alright, so I went and grabbed my other things that I needed here and a fresh pair of gloves. Put these on real quick. So I have here a half-gallon mason jar along with my canning funnel, just to make it a little bit easier to get everything in there, and my packer. And so now we're going to start packing all of these ingredients down into the jar. Now, if you don't have a great big jar like this, you could use more than 1 quart-size jar. Most people have quart-size jars hanging around. But we're going to fill this up to about 2 inches from the top. And I can already see some liquid pulling out of these veggies into the bowl. And so we will definitely make sure to pour all of that liquid that's in the bowl into the jar here. This smells so strong, but not in an offensive way. It smells actually pretty good. Now, I will confess, I've never actually tried kimchi. I know that my husband loves it. I will be willing, of course, to try this when it's ready. Yeah, I think we're actually going to be able to fit all of this in there. Let's pack it down. Oh yeah. And you can see already all that liquid that's coming out. Now, if you don't have liquid like that showing up, then that's what the reserved brine is for. That way we would have some liquid to make sure the vegetables are fully covered. But we're not going to need very much of it. That's for sure. Okay. You can see all of that. Look at that. Okay, so we're really not going to need much. I think I'm going to put just a little bit of the brine in there just to make sure that I've got plenty enough liquid. A little bit more. There we go. I think that'll do it. Okay, so now I'm going to pull out those whole leaves that I had reserved. So I'm just going to take my other jar here, that's a wide mouth jar, and I'm going to set it down over the top. Let's see here, let's use this one. Put down over the top, and then I'm just going to take a knife and just very gently kind of score around it. Boys and girls, you're not supposed to do this on your kitchen counter, but I'm being very careful, very gentle. Napa cabbage is very fragile, so it's super easy to cut. Just like that. And I'm going to do more than one of these. I want a couple of them to make sure I have plenty in there to hold my ingredients down in the liquid. I mean, you almost don't even need a knife to cut this. You could really just hold the jar down and pull the leaf up, because it's just going to tear super easy. Alright, there's another one, and we'll do one more. See, look at that. Super easy. Okay. Now we're going to take our circles and we're going to lay them down there on top of the vegetables. And I just kind of spread them around in there. Like that. Up against the edges of the jar. So now I've got a fermenting weight. This one is actually for a regular mouth canning jar. I didn't have any for the wide mouth. I thought I did, but I don't know what I did with them. They might be in Arkansas. But I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to very gently lay this down on top. Kind of press it down in there. Now I still see a couple pieces that are sort of sticking up a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little more of my brine just to make sure everything is covered with liquid. I'm going to put my fermenting lid on top. So now I'm going to take my jar and I'm going to set it into my pantry, a nice cool dark location, and I'm going to set it in a pan That way, as this begins to ferment and bubble up, it won't make a mess if it comes out the top. Alright, so the kimchi is tucked away in the dark pantry back there behind me. And in about 3 days, we should begin to see some little bits of bubbling taking place in the jar, showing that it is fermenting. And so then we will let it sit for 1 to 2 weeks, and Mr. Smith can give it a taste and see if it is ready. If not, then we'll let it go a little bit longer and just kind of let the kimchi tell us when it's done. And when it is finished, it'll get tucked into the refrigerator and we can enjoy it. So you will have to make sure to check back and see the taste testing results in the future. So that's it for today. Don't forget to check out the playlist with all of the videos for the Fermented February collaboration going on all month long. And be sure to watch Anna's video where she tells all about it and all of the details. And I'll link that down below as well. So thanks for joining me here again in the Homestead Kitchen. My name is Constance at Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and I'll talk to y'all next time.